A new day. It is 4 February, year of our Lord 2025. God, good night. Time is flying. I can't believe it's already February, but it is. And we are going to talk today in personal finance. We're going to talk about first memories of money and how they impact how you think about money. So we're going to jump right in and get started. I'm we're live streaming currently to our playlist, but we are live streaming on the YouTube channel, LinkedIn, Twitter, X, Facebook. We should be live streaming everywhere we have a page almost. Anyway, so we'll get started here in just a minute. It is 10:01 a.m. on 4 February, year of our Lord 2025. 2025. Hope you're doing great. Hope you're, if you're in our course at the University of Houston, at the Bauer College of Business, this is personal finance, and it is lecture for week number 4. So we're going to jump right in. Had some technical difficulties with my streaming software this morning, so I'm a little befuddled. Happens to me on a regular basis, I'm afraid. Technology, I mean, it gets in the way. So anyway, we're live streaming here at my YouTube channel. That's where the playlist is. So remember, if you're a student and you're trying to figure out where the content is being live streamed, it is being posted to this playlist for this semester's cohort at uhplaylist.com. Super easy to find. So good luck. Do that. Also, just want to mention that I am also hopefully live streaming to LinkedIn if the technology got fixed. I was on a call with support, texting actually, and I think we got it resolved, but it was like the last minute and I had to jump off the chat and get right into class. So there we are. We're going to talk about first memories of money, and I want to just kind of highlight where we are. So I've posted this. You have it in Canvas, your actual assignment for this week. It's also posted in Money Study Group with some additional information if you want to go deeper into understanding your first memories of money and how they impact how you think about money. And if you don't know this, just know that how you think about money impacts what you do with money, what your behavior is, what your habits are. And that's really the focus of this week's assignment. This week's assignment is super easy. There's no technical stuff involved at all. Last week, you got set up in Right Capital. Next week, we're going to start working on the Credit Crush assignment, which is probably one of the most eye-opening assignments of the semester. From there, we're going to jump right into some review of insurance and then investing. Investing is the most popular topic in the course, and we're going to get there pretty quickly. And in the meantime, over each week, you'll be doing some things in your financial plan on the Right Capital Financial Planning Portal. You guys have done a great job so far this semester. Overall, the cohort is really doing a great job, and I appreciate that. Your work, the quality of your work is outstanding, and so I thank you for that. And I will continue to give you the encouragement to do the early assignments. I'm looking for my early assignment. So I'm going to try to bounce through a couple of these. I just clicked on, hey, there we go. I'm in the right place. I was having some trouble with this. So this is the first memories of money assignment. I could show you my, let's see if I show you my, I'm going to hit a button here and it could go crazy. Did it work? Kind of worked. Yep, there it is. So that's me in my studio, and I have my finger here on the buttons. And I just took myself to a place that I have to figure out where I am now. So you can see I'm scrolling up over there, and I'm going to go back to the list, well, a list, go to a list. So here's what we're going to do. Part one, your first memories of money. This is what's going to be in your assignment, and you'll see it in Canvas. But this is kind of what I'll talk about for a few minutes today. Today's going to be a short lecture because this really is a very simple, easy, and I think it can be one of the most impactful assignments of the semester. And it may seem like it has very little to do with personal finance, but in fact, it has a ton to do with personal finance. So we're going to talk about your first memories of money, talk about some childhood memories. And when you think about your first memories of money, I want you to think about, okay, there's where I had we're here with week 4. Somehow we got the covered call strategy, which is not supposed to be here. Here we go. I clicked on the wrong scene. I think we'll be, so I'm just going to talk for a minute about this week's assignment. And you will see this content is in Money Study Group. It's also posted. I will post a link in this week's live stream. Right now, the description for the video, if you happen to be watching live right now, you'll notice there's not much of a description in the video description. So if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn, sorry about that. That was one of the technical issues I was having, updating the description. But there will be a link, okay? There will be a link to this post. This is what I'm looking at, and this is where you'll have a link to this post. But again, you have plenty of content in Money Study Group to help you prepare for this week's lesson. It's a very easy lesson. So I'm going to talk through what you're going to do. First of all, you're going to just think about your own first memories of money. Maybe it was your first paycheck. Maybe it was your first allowance. Do you remember? I kind of remember the first time that I held a handful of quarters, and it was just an interesting thing because they were heavy, they were shiny. I knew they were valuable, but I didn't really quite understand the concept of money. So I want you to think about your first memories of money. Maybe it was the first time you got allowance. Maybe it was the tooth fairy and you had a quarter or a silver dollar or a $50 under your pillow, and you were told there was such a thing as a tooth fairy, and that's where the money came from. Maybe it was your first paycheck. So I asked my wife, we've been married for a long time, and I asked her the question, what's your first memory of money? And she shared her story about buying a pair of boots. And she told me, this is early on in our relationship, she told me that. And so this story, and I'll unpack it just a little bit so that you will understand how this story helped me understand my wife, Connie. So my wife, Connie, grew up in Austin, Texas. She had this job working at Catfish Parlor. It was not fast food, somewhere between fine dining and fast food. Catfish Parlor, if you've ever been there, you know they serve great catfish, awesome little cornbread hush puppies. They're in like tubes. I'm not going to tell you what they are shaped like, but they're really good. Anyway, so that's where she worked. Her first job, she was like 15 years old. Actually, she may have worked at Bill Miller. She worked at Bill Miller, and then she went to Catfish Parlor. And I think it was Bill Miller. She was actually, I believe, 15 years old. She was saving money, getting her paychecks and saving money. And she found these leather boots. I think they were at Dillard's. I'm not positive where she bought these boots, but these boots were, hold on. I've got somebody in the Zoom room. Sorry if I kept you waiting. Anyway, my wife, Connie, bought these boots with her first paycheck. And her first memory of money is that she took this paycheck and she bought these boots that she really wanted. She was really excited about buying these boots and having these boots. She loved these leather boots. They were perfect until she bought them. And then she realized she just spent her entire paycheck, or almost her entire paycheck, on this pair of nice boots, and she realized that the thrill wore off pretty quickly. And so her purchase of these boots that she thought she had to have, she realized it was a big deception. Okay. The idea that she has to have something turned out to be false. And she realized that she would have been much more satisfied if she would have kept the money in her checking account and saved it. And that turns out to be like the blueprint for my wife Connie, for her financial DNA, is that she feels strongly that saving money, it feels much better, it's much more enduring than spending money. There's nothing on the planet that she will want to spend money on, because she knows there's nothing on the planet that's going to fill that itch inside of her. Saving for the future is far more important. Now, let me tell you quickly, there's something that she will spend ravishly. What's the word I'm looking for? She will spend money lavishly to create memories for her family. So that includes our grandkids, our kids, us together. She's not shy about spending money on things that will create lasting memories. And so that's my wife, Connie, and her. I wish I had a picture of Connie. I usually have one handy, but I don't have one handy. She's a beautiful lady. She's the best friend I've ever had, and she's been my wife since we were young. And she's gorgeous, and I can't find a picture of her at the moment, but I will find a picture of Connie somewhere. I'm scanning, looking for that now. Sorry, I'm not finding it. And I'm afraid if I click on anything, see, I got set up a little late today, so I'm afraid if I get too carried away with these buttons, I may not find my way back to where I need to be. So at any rate, that is a story about my wife, Connie. Her first memory of money speaks volumes about her and about what she, what she experienced in sharing that story with me. So I want you to think about your first memory of money. And I'm going to try and get this out of the way. Okay, there we go. Get that out of the way. Okay, so your first memory of money, that's part of your assignment, just to share that. But I really want you to think about how your first memories of money impact you. You'll read some of my first memories of money and how they have shaped me. They really didn't, those first experiences with money, they shape you in terms of how you find yourself behaving with money throughout the rest of your life. So it can be very valuable. The second part of the assignment is to do a parental interview. Let me see if I can find. Boom, there we go. I think that's it. This is part 2. It's your family interview. So the first part is just to talk about your first memories of money. The second part of the assignment is for you to do an interview. And this interview it's called a parental interview because you are instructed to interview parents, not roommates. If you interview your roommate, you will get a 0 on the assignment. If you interview a brother or a sister, you will get a 0 on the assignment. So please share that in GroupMe. Every semester, a student comes in and does an interview with their roommate. Imagine that. It's like they waited till the last minute. Roommate happens to be there, so they do that interview and they get a 0. And then I have to answer emails and explain to them that during the lecture in the weekly Zoom meeting that is required for you to watch each week, I mentioned very clearly this is a parental interview, which means parents, you can do uncles or aunts, grandparents are fine as well. Here's the thing I want you to think about. The person that you choose to interview, whether it's your parents, grandparents, aunt, uncle, whoever you choose to interview, that is an important part of this assignment. It's an important part of your intention in this assignment, because here's the thing. If, let's say, you were my niece or nephew, or my grandchild. You're too old to be my grandchild. Thank the Lord for that. But let's say I was your parent and you were in college and you wanted to interview me and my wife. What you would be doing is you would be making a choice to say to yourself, hey, self, I want to know what Jim Munchback thinks, what his experience is, what he can share with me about money and attitudes about money and experiences with money from his own life, his and her, me and Connie. So if think about the same thing for your parents, your aunt, uncle, your grandparents. Who is it in your family that you really want to approach and learn from? Because that decision right there is a very big decision in the context of this assignment. But more than that, it's a big statement for you and the person you select to interview, because you're asking them to share their wisdom with you. And that, I think, is meaningful. And so I want you to approach this assignment with that in mind, that you have this opportunity to go to someone in your life, in your family, or your extended family, and you get to invite them to share their wisdom with you. And I want you to set the table with them to be sure that they know that you're asking them because you respect what you perceive as their ability to manage money effectively. Okay, so I'm sure you have folks in your family, if you look around, where you will say, hey, these folks seem to have it down, like they know how to manage money. And then you have other folks in your family that you probably perceive as, wow, they really don't have a clue. And so you get to choose. And I want you to know that when you choose to interview someone who you feel like has something valuable to share with you in terms of their wisdom and their experience with money, just by choosing them, you're honoring them. You're saying to yourself, hey, self, I want to learn from this person. So set the table with that and just be aware that by asking them to engage in this interview, you are honoring them in that way. So the second thing I want you to be aware of is when you do the interview, I want you to remember, I want you to be very, very aware that sometimes these questions, the questions that are in your assignment that you're going to be asking in your interview, sometimes these questions can stir up emotional discomfort. Okay, sometimes there's a certain elements of regret or certain elements of kind of shame where someone has made really dumb mistakes with money, or maybe they didn't make dumb mistakes. Maybe they just had bad experiences and maybe they learned from them, but there was a lot of pain in the process. My grandson, Caleb, who is 6 years old, told me this week, pain is a great teacher. Pain is one of the best teachers. I'm like, where did you get that? But he said it perfectly clearly. A 6-year-old. I wish I had. I'm gonna make sure in the future I have pictures of the people in my life that I'm talking about, because you would love Caleb. He's awesome, and I could pull up some pictures. In fact, I'm gonna pull up a picture of Caleb if I can. This is Caleb. I'm gonna pull up my iPad and see if you can see Caleb. So that's Caleb. That's not his tongue, by the way. We were skating this weekend at the skating rink, and he wanted to show me that he could make his lip look like that. So that's Caleb. He's a funny guy. That's Caleb, my grandson. He's awesome. Anyway, that's Caleb. I'll show you some pictures of my wife at some point. But Caleb had some profound words. Pain is a great teacher. And when you do this interview, you may discover that the folks you choose to interview have experienced some pain in their life when it comes to managing money. And so just be aware of that. Have respect for that and some level of understanding and awareness. Okay, it could be pain, it could be shame, it could be regret. And so just be aware of that. Just be present with whoever it is you're interviewing. Listen with your ears, listen with your mind, and listen with your heart. And have empathy and just learn and be grateful for the opportunity to learn. That's really the assignment this week. It's not difficult. It's really not difficult, but it can be very meaningful. And I hope it is. I hope it's very meaningful for you. I hope you learn some things that are very practical. I hope you learn some things that help you to respect the people that you choose, the person or couple that you choose to interview. If you do a parental interview, I hope you do both parents. If you do an uncle, I hope you do both. Don't, you won't get deductions because you choose to just interview one person as opposed to two, but I'm telling you, you'll get double the benefit if you interview both. If you have an interview where you talk to your aunt and your uncle and you talk to both of them and you get both of their perspectives, because you're going to find, especially if they've been married a long time, that the way that they came together and learned how to manage money, especially if they do it well, it is a process, a lifelong process. Remember, some of you pointed out in your assignments last week that the number one cause of divorce, at least in the United States and probably across the world, the number one reason for divorce, if you don't know what it is, go back and read some notes. It's true, though. The number one reason for divorce is money. So I'm hoping that you can learn some things about how you think about money and be aware that not everybody thinks about money the way you do. Not everybody uses money the way you use money. The way that you use money, the way that you think about money, impacts how you use money, what your behaviors are, what your habits are. And if you ever want to change your habits, you have to be aware of them. Dr. Phil, one of my favorite books, Dr. Phil's Life Lessons. The first one, I think, is you can't change what you don't acknowledge. I mean, it sounds so self-evident, but it's important and it's true. And the reality is most people live in denial. They just live in a fog of unawareness. We all do it. We live in a culture of consumerism that's constantly throwing things at us to distract us from what's real and what matters. And when it comes to money, that's very true. So you have this influence in your life. It's called consumerism, whether you know it or not. And if you happen to be a person who's drawn to stuff or more money or all the glitz and glamour that comes in our culture of consumerism, if you're attracted to that, then your whole life will be influenced and impacted by your distraction with having more, working harder for more. But if you get clear about how you operate and how you get triggered and what you do and why you do it when it comes to finances and money, if you start to become more aware of that for yourself, I promise you, like Dr. Phil says, you can't change what you don't acknowledge. So if you are like me, I like to spend money. I like stuff. I have way too much stuff. Fortunately, I make enough money to buy stuff. And my goal in life from the beginning was not to be really good at budgeting, but to make enough money so that I didn't have to have a budget. That sounds crazy, but I'm admitting something to you that's true, that I don't enjoy budgeting. It feels to me like somebody's telling me what to do instead of me, which it should feel like, and it can feel like. And I learned this the hard way because, like Caleb said, pain is a good teacher. And next week and the week after, we're going to talk about the Credit Crush assignment. And I'm going to share some of my mistakes and how I got in a ditch financially and how my wife helped me overcome and get out of that ditch. and make serious changes in my life. But the reality is, the way I think about money is, I am not a guy who is like my wife, whose number one value is security. That's her number one value. Like I said, she'll spend money to make memories for the family, but she just wants to save, save, save. That's my wife's approach to life and money. She's very frugal. Um, my approach is different. It's like the opposite. I cherish freedom, which means options, which means being able to do what I want to do and having enough money to be able to do whatever I want to do without asking the bank or someone. And that's the way I've lived my life. It's kind of like I say, my wife lives with this law of scarcity, and I live in under the influence of abundance. Like, I believe in America, you can do whatever you want to do, and if you want to make more money, you can do that. And that's, I've proven that to myself and to my wife and in my life, that if you want to make more money, you can do that. And I've made a lot of money in my life, and I'm very grateful for that. But my point is, I spend money. And before I started making good money in my life, I spent everything, and I got in a ditch, and I got buried in debt. And that's what we're going to talk about next. But if you're like me, if you have that monkey on your back where you just like to spend, if you have the money, you spend it, then this week could be a good assignment for you, a time for you to reflect and think about your approach to money and what makes you think the way you think and do the things you do when it comes to money. If you're like my wife Connie or my Uncle Hank, you will hear his story, you will read his story. My Uncle Hank was a very special person, and he shared his first memories of money with me, and you'll get to read that and listen to that. And it's a very impactful story. By the way, when you read or listen to my Uncle Hank's story in my books, I share his story, First Memory of Money, and I say it was cows, but it was actually pigs. Why did we use cows instead of pigs? Long story, but in the process of writing a book, you have editors and they think this will be better than that, and you'll see some stories that will make sense if you care to know about the editorial process. But the truth is, my Uncle Hank comes from a family of pig farmers, and his first memory of money, as you will read and listen to, was him seeing his father weep, cry, crushed by the reality that he was a pig farmer, and the day that he was supposed to get paid for the entire year's worth of pig raising, the dude absconded with the family funds when they sold their pigs to this pig broker who ended up not paying them for the pigs. So they lost all of that year's pigs, the whole pig farm basically that they'd raised for a whole year. My Uncle Hank saw his father cry, and he learned as a very young boy that that's how life can be. So my Uncle Hank became very much like my wife Connie, and he was so frugal. And when he shared his first memories of money with me, we got to talk about the pain that of pinching pennies and how he'd done super well in his life. He'd become nicely wealthy, and yet he had a hard time spending money. And so he made some commitments as a result of that. And one of the commitments he made was the family lake house, which is an amazing place in Bowling Green, Kentucky, that is there to this day, that is used by the family because my Uncle Hank wanted to do something that said, hey, there's something more important than money. But that conversation about his first memory about money produced this kind of this declaration, if you will, and this awareness. And that's what I want to happen with you. I want you to be aware. So that's pretty much it for this week's lesson. I'm going to get rid of that. If you haven't checked out LinkedIn, if you're on LinkedIn, and I hope you are since you're a business student, or at least most of you are students at the Bauer College of Business, I hope you will. I hope you will consider, connecting with me. I look forward to that. This is being live streamed, by the way, to LinkedIn and also um, YouTube and Facebook and X. So let's see. I think I've got some. Yeah, you'll see this in your assignment. The questions that you're going to ask, they're there on the screen for you to see. Um, and I think, let me see what else. We've got a couple of scenes here that I'm trying to remember what they are. First memories of money. Oh, summary. I have a little tag here. Summary one. So that's kind of a summary. You're going to connect your first memories of money with your current financial behaviors. And it's a powerful exercise, like I said, for self awareness. Like Dr. Phil said, if you're not, you can't change what you don't acknowledge. So that's really one of the benefits or outcomes of this assignment. And, you guys are a lot younger than I am. You are hopefully a lot younger than the folks you're going to choose to interview this week. And so the impact of this question, your first memories of money, somehow, in my experience, it's become clear to me that the older you are, the older you are, the more impact these questions have, the more reflection, the more emotional it is to go back to your first memories of money when you're a kid. But if you're still a young person, it's just not nearly as impactful. So don't, you may be like, okay, yeah, it seems like yesterday you got your first paycheck, and maybe there's not a whole lot of insights for you in that process. So if that's true, just realize that when you do your interview and you ask this question to someone my age or older, you're going to find that if you observe, you're going to see there could be like this emotional transformation where they actually go back in time and experience these first memories of money. So pay attention to that. It's when I, as a financial planner, I ask this question. I don't always get to ask it because sometimes when I start working with someone, it would just be kind of weird. They want to know, hey, I've got this amount of money. I want to invest it. Let's get going. And so we get to work. But I really like to start relationships with kind of what I call a discovery meeting. And in that discovery meeting, I ask a lot of questions that most people don't expect. And this is one of those questions, your first memory of money. And I'm telling you, from my experience in asking this question and doing interviews with folks who ultimately become clients, the emotional experience is it's uh, it's a wonder to behold. It's my favorite question. Uh, it is hands down my favorite question to ask because folks really go back to those early memories. So get to experience that this week when you do the interview. I hope it turns out to be a rewarding experience for you, like it is for me every time I get to do that. When someone trusts you enough to share their first memories, that in itself is a gift. It is a gift. When someone trusts you enough to share something with you and to experience something with you in the process of having that conversation, that's a gift. So just be aware of that. Don't just be asking questions and moving on. So that's that. I think I have some questions and answers here. I'm not sure. There looks like they're not showing up. So we'll pass on that. I have a next time scene that's not showing up. So I'm going to go back to the post here and just make sure I covered everything. I think I did. If you have any questions this week, gosh, like I said earlier, you guys are doing a great job on your assignments. Let me get to my iPad. So now you will get a link to this post, what I'm looking at right now. As soon as I finish this live stream, I'm going to go and do the edits for the video on the YouTube playlist. and I will make sure you have a link to this, but you don't really need it because you have the assignment in Canvas, and it's also posted in Money Study Group. And in that, you will see the same video that I'm showing you here when I scroll down. But if you're not in the course and you want to watch the video, I want you to be able to do that. So if you're not in the course and you're following along and you're on YouTube and you click on this video, there will be a link in the description that goes to the post that I've been kind of pointing at. And in that post, there is a video. The video is also in the playlist. So it's called First Memories of Money. That's it. That's this week's assignment. I'll look forward to seeing you next week. Most of all, I look forward to, this is my favorite assignment to grade throughout the semester because this is really, well, it's fun. It's like reading a great novel, a great book, a great story, except it's real and it's your stories. And I appreciate that you share them with me. It is your assignment, so you don't have much choice, but I hope you do have a choice about how you approach this assignment and this interview. You do have a choice. You can approach it with a great deal of honor and respect and appreciation, or you can approach it like it's just another assignment and you need to get it done. And I hope you choose the latter, not the former, or the former, not the latter. I hope you choose, yes, sorry. I hope you choose to approach this assignment with the kind of gratitude and appreciation and respect that it deserves. Because from the very beginning, you're going to choose who will you interview. And I look forward to hearing about your choice and to seeing how the conversation went. Very easy, not a difficult assignment at all. So you shouldn't have any questions, but if you do, you know where to go. Jump into GroupMe. And if you watched this Zoom lecture, you should be pretty good to go on what you're going to do. So that's going to do it for this week's lecture. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your participation. I appreciate it. Look forward to your comments. Look forward to, let's talk about this week's class collaboration. You will see in this week's, it's no secret, it is the question about looking forward. If if we had a conversation 3 years from now or 5 years from now, what would have to happen in your life for you to feel good about the progress that you made? That's kind of it. Just take a future snapshot and tell me, answer for yourself, and post that on Facebook, YouTube, or in Money Study Group. There's a special place to do that in Money Study Group. Make sure you grab a screenshot, include that in your assignment. That is this week's not so secret class collaboration. So thank you for that. And that's it. So I'll see you guys next week, and have a great week ahead.